NetherRealm Studios seems to make very questionable and inconsistent balancing decisions with Mortal Kombat 1, where sometimes they put all their effort into carefully designing a character and crafting a unique and crazy playstyle for them, but then they'll just run out of creativity with the next character. Or get scared and add a bunch of restrictions to another. And in the funniest display of this inconsistency, I'd like to show you several moves in this game that are essentially useless, meaning that they have such glaring flaws that there legitimately is never a situation where you would choose it over something else. What up, guys? I'm Brinks, and welcome to the 10 most useless moves in Mortal Kombat 1. The rules are as follows: only one per character, otherwise most of this list would be Smoke and Raiden. No cameo moves, and if a move has a very specific niche use with a certain cameo or in a certain matchup but is otherwise useless, it's still going on the list. Nitara. The list is kind of ordered, but don't take it too seriously. All 10 of these moves are turbo ass. So let's get into it.
Number 10.
So Sub-Zero has a decent long-range harassment tool with ground freeze, a solid zone-breaking burst option with slide, and one of the best projectiles in the game with clone push, a mid with a very lengthy knockdown. But he also has his classic ice ball, which freezes the opponent to start combos. And how is he meant to do that, you may ask? Well, dear viewer, I will do my best to answer that question, because NRS certainly doesn't know. So, ice ball definitely doesn't combo from any of his strings. It's way too slow. So what about mixing it in with your zoning to try and catch your opponent and mix up their rhythm? Not with 39 frames of startup, that's way too slow. Unless your opponent has the reaction time of a houseplant, they are not getting hit by this move. It's way too slow. Well, what about in a projectile war? Well, what about 39 frames of startup? That's way too slow. So, there you have it. Even if you EX it to make it a mid that beats some other projectiles, your opponent will still be able to react and block in most cases, and now you've just wasted a bar. If you do somehow manage a trade in a very rare alignment of the stars situation, you'll get something for it, which is why it's at the top of the list, but since it's so terrible at its unique ability, it certainly earned its place amongst these other all-star moves. At the very least, make it a little faster so that it can combo from some of his normals. But otherwise, I would like to ask,
NRS, why are you so afraid of Sub-Zero?
Number 9.
So Nitara, recently buffed, has crazy movement, crazy damage, doesn't stop flying around the screen, and has plenty of ways to make you throw out a panic option that she can then kill you for. Well, she also has this forward 4. It's a 15 frame high, but is a fairly decent gap closer that she can start combos with if you have a big read. Seems fine, right? And it is. But she also has a full string attached to it in forward 434, which is a gapless string that has nothing else going for it, easily earning it a place on this list of other well thought out moves. It's an ugly minus 13 on block. It doesn't combo into anything without cameos, only does about 13%, which mind you is less damage than if you just did forward 4 into back forward 2. And most importantly, forward 4 also combos into her meterless dive kick, which is her main combo starter. So what the actual hell is the reason any Nitara player would ever use this move? Unless they like the animation, I guess. At the very least, it should be safe on block, or do a lot more damage, I guess. And yes, I'm aware Farah can actually give this move a purpose. It's still useless otherwise. So, I'll ask again.
NRS, what are you doing?
Number 8.
So this entry is a simple one. Havik has a decent assortment of safe and plus on block normals, so he can bully you and catch you pressing at the wrong time. And thanks to his Blood Ball, he gets full combos from a lot of these normals. One of these normals stands out from the rest, however. as it kind of has nothing redeeming about it except the fact that it's +4. Which brings us to Havik's Stand 4. This ugly-ass, stupid-looking hop kick thing. Sure, it's +4, but it's a high. Takes 16 frames to come out, and is not even special cancelable. So, on hit, you get a staggering 7% knockdown, unless you use a cameo. It's really like they just threw it on to Havik without much thought as to what he's meant to do with it. A common theme throughout this list. His stand 1, forward 1, stand 2, and forward 4 are all faster. All lead to combos, and are either slightly plus or safe. This move really earned its place on the list with the unholy trinity of being high, slow, and not a combo starter. It's also a really ugly and boring concept for a move on a character that can rip himself apart and regenerate at will. At least make it cancelable and a mid. Otherwise,
NRS, why does he have this?
Number 7.
so Geras. Plenty of weird-ass sand and time-themed moves, but one of them, despite its fairly unique concept, is so terrible in execution that I had to put it on this list. Welcome to EX Sandstorm, a delayed trap move more detrimental to Geras than the opponent. You spend a bar to create a delayed launching trap, and it even gives you 1 hourglass charge. Neat. The problem is the recovery is over an entire second, which is basically an eternity in fighting games. That means if you try to set it up in neutral, literally every character with a teleport is going to punish you on reaction. And pretty much every character has some way to blow you up for doing it, even from full screen. Not to mention they can just walk away from it and you wasted your bar, since it takes almost 3 seconds to even go off. And to make it even worse, until it triggers, you can't even do a regular sandstorm. The only way I can find to set it up safely is from a forward 4-4 or during time stop. So to even get this move out, you need to sacrifice combo damage or spend 2 bars of meter. But why would you ever want to do that when you have so many better things to spend meter on? So not only is this move terrible, but the opportunity cost of even using it is just as bad. 1 bar maxes your hourglasses, which lets you snap or rewind. Your EX time stop also leads to big combo damage for 1 bar. Plus, you can spend 2 bars and do some weird clone setup. So, besides being a waste of meter and near impossible to set up without getting hit, even if your opponent lets this hit them, you don't even get great damage without spending another bar, which you probably already spent to get this move out to begin with. There is absolutely nothing going for this move except that it looks cool. I have no clue how to fix this move, since even if it were safe to set up, you'd still never open anyone up with it. Maybe there's some weird cameo setup that can make it slightly usable, which is why it's not at the bottom of the list, but as of now, it's complete trash, so I will ask.
NRS, why?
Number 6.
Imagine having a mid with great range, good damage, and that's it. Literally nothing else. Well, then you would have Ermac's back 3. Bet you haven't seen this move since his gameplay trailer. It doesn't cause any kind of stun state, it can't be special cancelled, it just knocks down to literally full screen, which is not where Ermac wants his opponent to be, like, ever. On top of that, the one strength that this move has, being a 90 damage mid, gets totally outclassed by Ermac's other mid, his back 2-4, which starts combos, starts cancel pressure, is 4 frames faster, hits from about the same range, and if you for some reason want to do the whole string, it leads to 135 damage. Which, if we do some quick math, is More than 90. It isn't even good on block, as it's only -5 with a ton of pushback, so you can't actually enforce any kind of pressure for doing it. And it's punishable if they flawless block it somehow. What is this move for? Not that Ermac needs more combo starters, but fuck it. Make this move cause a stagger, or make it do something weird, like steal some of your opponent's meter or something. I don't know. As it is now, you'll never see it, which begs the question.
NRS, why are you like this?
Now this is where we get into the really shitty and bafflingly useless moves. And I'd be willing to bet that only the people that main these characters even know about these moves at all. So getting into it.
Number 5.
Sindel has 2 really good normals in back 2 and back 2-3, as both have a plethora of uses. Back 2 is a pretty great mid that leaves her airborne and sets up for flight cancel stuff, and back 2-3 is a safe launching overhead that she can easily convert from or go into cameo setups. The reason this string is on the list is specifically for the full string, back 2-3-2. It also launches, but can only combo if you use an ambush. There are a few reasons that this is terrible for Sindel. Typically, her combos begin with either a string into Scream, or back to float cancel stuff into Scream later in the combo. And in both cases, she is able to freely choose what launcher to use from the floats, or after the Scream. And while back 2-3 is decent, she has a much better launcher in forward 4-3. So essentially, she never has a need for this additional launcher in back 2-3-2, which is also just a much worse version that requires cameos to even do anything with. And all of this is made even worse by the fact Sindel is often using her cameos to set up her offense, rather than extend combos. So it's totally worthless in combos and is massively outclassed. But the final nail in the coffin that really cemented its spot on this list is that while back 2-3 on block is only -6, back 2-3-2 is -16. That means it's substantially worse for combos, and it's almost 3 times as negative on block as back 2-3, and therefore has no use in neutral either. It is worse in literally every way. So, I'd like to ask again.
NRS, what is your problem?
Number 4.
So Tanya is yet another character in this game with a normal that has several solid options to choose from, and randomly one that's complete dogshit. Enter back 2-4. So to explain, she has some giant moves to harass you from afar, and a ridiculous staggerable mid when up close in forward 2. One of these giant moves is her back 2. Since forward 2 is her main tool, up close, back 2 is generally just going to be a situational anti-air or jump callout that you use from mid to full screen. And it is special cancelable, and it hits twice, so you have a lot of time to hit confirm into a drill kick. But she also has back 2-3, which is just a meterless launcher that she can convert from solo for usually even more damage than just raw back 2. So back 2 and back 2-3, both situational long-range anti-airs with several combo routes. So then what does this back 2-4 do? Well, dear viewer, when used at the range you would normally use back 2, the answer is nothing, because NetherRealm is really good at making games, and if you actually do connect it, you need a cameo to even convert. And I'm not sure why you do that, since back 2-3 into a standard combo doesn't need a cameo, while still having the option to use one later for additional damage. But more importantly, back 2-3 isn't prone to whiffing for no reason at the range you'd actually want to use the move. On top of all that, you can't use it mid-combo, and not that back 2 even works up close, but it's also negative on block. So yeah, I don't know what this move is for. It genuinely feels like a troll move that is just worse in literally every way than back 2 and back 2-3, which earned it an easy spot on this list. So I will ask again.
NRS, what is the point?
Number 3.
Continuing with the theme of decent normals with horrible enders, we have a hilariously mind-boggling entry for this one. So Mileena's forward 3-4 is a decent 13-frame high, which does high damage and can be good for big openings to start combos. The main reason for this move being here on the list is the third part of the string, forward 3-4-3. It's technically an overhead that is also +4 on block. Plus frames are always good, right? However, NRS thinks they're funny with this one, since this final part of the string only comes out on hit. So these plus frames are completely hypothetical, because it's literally impossible to make your opponent block this. Even if you're playing against a literal vegetable that would let you just walk them down so you can jump scare them with the overhead, it doesn't come out on whiff either. And it's only a knockdown, so there's no reason to even try comboing into it, especially since it'll often whiff anyways. They programmed this to be +4, but made it inaccessible. I have to ask,
NRS, are you okay?
Number 2.
Alright, bear with me as we have another funny haha one here. So, would you believe me if I said there's a special move in this game that doesn't do anything, and NRS forgot to either finish the move or just remove it from the game entirely? Well, I have no clue about the second part, but Raiden's Razzle Dazzle is a move that does absolutely nothing and is the epitome of this list. So, this incredibly well thought out move does literally 0 damage on hit. It even says it in the move list. It's punishable on block, and it doesn't allow for follow-ups of any kind, despite seeming like it could be a sort of cancel. When Raiden's passive buff is active, if you hold the input, the move will use up the buff and become only -5 with a bunch of pushback. Not that this is anywhere in the move list, but that's still negative and it does no chip damage, so I guess it's something, but it's still not enough to save it from being on the list. The EX version at least does damage, but it does less damage than just an EX shocker. Literally the one benefit that the EX version of this has is it side switches. But spending a bar just for that is not a very strong use case, and either way, the regular version is just categorically useless. It seems like it could function as a cancel or something, but damn it, we already have 3 cancel characters at this point. Make it a restand or something. I'm not even sure how to make this worth using. But until that happens, I'm sure I speak for everyone at this point when I ask,
NRS, who even are you?
Alright, so before we get to the number 1 spot, I'm gonna rapid fire some honorable mentions. Raiden's forward 2-2 is safe, gapless, and starts combos, but forward 2-1 is unsafe, has a huge gap, doesn't launch, and does low damage. Why? Katana's back 1-4 is a 2-hit string that is +3 on block, but is slower than her main punish string, needs a cameo to combo, and is a double high. Why? Smoke's jump 2-1-1 does less damage than jump 1-1, has worse gravity for combos than jump 1-1, and has less advantage from telecancel than jump 1-1. So there is never a reason to ever use jump 2-1-1. Why?
Number 1. Buff Smoke.
If I were being objective, this might be a little higher on the list, but I need to support the Buff Smoke agenda. So, here we are. So Smoke's forward 1-2 string is solid. It starts combos extends combos, and forward 1-2 grab leads to pretty much whatever ender you want. You can teleport into cameos, you can go for invis, you can cancel into something, you can go for string enders in the corner, side switches, smoke ball. There are many options depending on how you wish to play. But did you know Smoke also has the option to side switch? Oh, I said that already with Smoke Ball. And I guess teleport side switches too. Well, what if you wanted to side switch, but do less damage than either of those options, and have no way to extend it with cameos? Well, then welcome to Smoke's Phasing Through, a move so terrible, its mere existence sometimes just messes up combo extensions. For example, if you're trying to call an ambush cameo with a backward input during forward 1-2 grab, like Kano knives or something, there is a window during this move where if you try and call the cameo, you'll cause Smoke to do phasing through and ruin your combo. It is completely useless as a move. You will always do much more damage with forward 1-2 grab into any of his specials, except Vicious Vapors, which whiffs. And even if you want the side switch into that exact pixel on the stage, teleport sends them the same distance as phasing through does, but with the option to actually extend from it with cameos. Your combo is always over when you land this move. It is completely terrible with not a single use case. It should be a restand or something at least. It's not even a cool animation. For a ninja character named Smoke with smoke powers that can teleport and telekinetically manipulate his knife, he sure does a lot of basic punching, kicking, and throwing.
At least this boring ass move is so bad that I never have to see it.
Alright, so if you enjoyed this list, please leave a like as it super helps me out. I would hugely appreciate it. And if you want to see more lists or rant videos like this, let me know in the comments some ideas you'd maybe like to see or just in general. I'm going to try and alternate between videos like these and more guides, and hopefully stick to a more regular upload schedule. I'm going to try and shoot for weekly, but I've never been correct when I've tried to estimate how long a video will take me, so we'll see what happens. But I just know that I'm going to try. If any of this sounds cool, I encourage you to subscribe, as I don't have any plans of stopping any of this anytime soon. But thank you guys for watching. You're all amazing, and I appreciate every one of you. But that's going to do it from me for now. Later.